Good afternoon, everyone. We are the Group 4, and today we will report about the Volunteer Act of 2007. First, what is the Republic Act number 9418? Republic Act number 9418 is an act institutionalizing a strategy for rural development, strengthening volunteerism, and for other purposes. This act is also known as the Volunteer Act of 2007. This act began and held in Metro Manila on Monday, the 24th day of July 2006. This act shall be the policy of the state to promote the participation of the various sectors of the Filipino society and as necessary international and foreign volunteer organizations in public and civic affairs and adapt and also strengthen the practice of volunteerism as a strategy in order to attain national development and international understanding. The inculcation of volunteerism as a way of life shall rekindle in every Filipino the time-honored tradition of bayanihan to foster social justice, solidarity, and sustainable development. In order to carry out the foregoing policy, the government shall pursue the attainment of the following goals and objectives. First is to provide policy framework on volunteerism that shall underscore the fundamental principles necessary to harness and harmonize the broad and diverse efforts of the voluntary sector in the country into an integrative and effective partnership for local and national development, as well as international cooperation and understanding. Second is to provide a conducive and enabling environment for volunteers and volunteer service organizations by setting mechanisms to protect volunteers' rights and privileges and give due recognition to highlight the roles and contributions to society. And lastly is to provide an effective institutional mechanism to strengthen the role of the Philippine National Volunteer Service Coordinating Agency to perform its mandates and to oversee the implementation of this act. Now we're going to talk about the definition terms. Volunteerism it refers to an act involving a wide range of activities, including traditional forms of mutual aid and development interventions, and it is the use or involvement of volunteer labor, especially in community services, that provides an enabling and empowering environment both on the part of the beneficiary receiving and the volunteer rendering the act. Next is volunteer. It refers to an individual or group who, for reasons arising from their social developmental, business, and corporate orientation, commitment, or conviction, contribute time, service, and resources, whether or whether on full-time or part-time basis to a just and essential social development cause. Next is the volunteer service organization. It refers to a local or foreign group that recruits, trains, deploys, and supports volunteer workers to programs and projects implemented by them or by other organizations or any group that provides services and resources, including but not limited to information, capability building, advocacy, and networking for the attainment of common good. Voluntary sector. It refers to those sectors of Philippine society that organizes themselves into volunteers to take advocacy and action primarily for local and national development as well as international cooperation and understanding. Its primary purpose is to create a social impact rather than profit. It is often called the third sector, civil society, or the not-for-profit sector. Now we're going to talk about the roles and modalities of volunteerism in the private sector. First is the volunteerism in the academy includes but is not limited to provision of technical assistance and sharing of technology within the academic circle, target communities and other clienteles, and the upgrading of the quality of education and curriculum methodologies while providing career enhancement and exposure to the volunteers. Next is the volunteerism in the corporate sector. As an expression of corporate social responsibility and citizenship, this, sec- this sector refers to activities recognized by the company, where employees give their time, skills, and resources in the service of the company's internal and external communities. They include activities that are not limited to employee giving of material resources to specific causes, employee lead employee-led fundraising, one-time outreach activities, and environmental campaign. Next is volunteerism by not-for-profit organization. Includes but is not limited to provision of complementary service delivery and human resource development in underserved communities, as well as an advocacy and articulation of the cause of the disadvantaged and vulnerable groups. Uh, the roles and modalities of volunteerism by foreign volunteer organizations. This includes but is not limited to provision of technical assistance, not locally accessible in priority development areas within the framework of technical cooperation and socio-cultural exchange.